Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us today on this Friday. My name is Jenna. I'm the Student Activities Director, and we are here to celebrate some wonderful students. We have asked the departments in our building to nominate students, and we don't give them specific criteria, which makes this program very unique because we get to hear specifically why these students have been chosen today. So students, what's going to happen is the staff member will come up here. Students, we ask you to stand on the X right here. You may feel a little uncomfortable because we're going to probably stare at you, but we're proud of you. And we will be filming, so teachers and staff members, they will share why this person, your student, your child was selected for Student of the Month. Before we get started, I would like to thank the individuals in the room that make this possible. First of all, Wildcat Productions, who are filming today, so you will be able to download this program and forever watch this. You'll watch this 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and be so proud of the comments that you hear today. Thank you to Kelly Brogio, who does a lot of the behind the scenes for us today. And a huge thank you to Jack. He is the owner of Domino's Pizza, and he sponsors our event, and he sends our students home with a certificate for a free large pizza, which is awesome, right? Thank you, Jack. And you guys will get, students, you will get a goodie bag with a whole bunch of other things. You will also get the write-up from the staff member, which is a keepsake for you, so you know exactly what they submitted for your nomination. So without further ado, Dr. Kalenis, our principal, will be our official MC today. So come on over.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be the MC, but also just an honor to be at Libertyville High School and be part of this awesome school community. And I want you to know a lot of schools talk about how they care about their students, but very few schools actually walk that talk in the way that Libertyville High School does. And the fact that this school comes together once a month to celebrate students, not for necessarily just academic achievement or not just for athletic achievement or for excellence in some particular area, but for no other reason other than these are just great all-around kids who make all of us better, who make our entire school better by virtue of them just coming here every day and being their genuine selves. And that is, when I was thinking about, do I want to come to Libertyville High School? What kind of place is that? My high school that I was at, we did what we called the True Giant Awards, and it was very similar to this. And we invited parents, and we had some food and things. But when I found out that the Students of the Month at Libertyville get a free Domino's Pizza, I was like, I'm coming. This is good. So thank you so much for sponsoring this event and having a strong school, a great school needs great community partners. Parents, you're a part of that. And then certainly members of our business community who go the extra mile to support our students as well is a wonderful thing. So I'm so proud to be here. And students, yes, it will be a day of awkwardness while you stand here and you have a teacher talk and say all this wonderful things about you. But parents, you're going to get to be very proud of your child, and grandparents and friends who are here, but we're going to put you on the spot too. So what I'd like to do before we get started is the adults, not the teachers, we're going to hear from the teachers in a few minutes, but the adults who came to celebrate the student, whether it's parents or grandparents or friends, I would like to just take a few minutes here, and I would like you to tell your student why you are proud of them. Okay, so you get to tell your student why you are proud of them. I'll give you a couple minutes to start that conversation. Give you about 30 more seconds to finish up this conversation, about 30 more seconds. All right. Come on back. If we could bring you back to your attention here. I know that you as parents and guardians and friends can definitely talk all day about these students, and it's a joy to hear some of the things that were being said. We're now going to change, and we're going to hear what our teachers and staff members have to say about these students. And so I'm going to ask Ainsley to come up with Mr. Gore. And Mr. Gore is going to talk about Ainsley, and she was nominated from our Fine Arts Department.
All right. Okay. Well, we've actually got three of us from the band department here to talk about Ainsley. I'm Mr. Gore. That's Mr. Carnstedt. Mr. Helvey's back there. In the band department, we talk amongst ourselves when it's our time to decide on a student of the month, and we're like, well, who should we nominate this month for the award? And we're like, oh, Ainsley. Oh, I'm sure she's gotten that already. Oh my gosh, she hasn't. We definitely need to get her up here because Ainsley is probably the best example of the face of our department that you could come up with. If you were out there on the football field last night, you saw her leading the marching Wildcats out onto the field for the whole game, both pregame and halftime. She is in the pit orchestra. She will be in the symphony orchestra, in the wind ensemble, does chamber groups, you name it, she does it for us in the music department, and all of it at an extremely high level. The amount of dedication she shows is unbelievable. She's next week alone, Monday night's pit orchestra. Tuesday you might have off. Wednesday night, she's headed over to Stevenson to audition for All-State for IMEA. Thursday night, we've got marching band rehearsal. Friday night, we've got the games. Saturday, we've got the parade. So she's out there and literally out in front of the band the entire time, taking responsibility for those 150 other musicians. And Mr. Carnstedt and I love it because here's a kid that we can put up there and say, you know what? Just take him. You got it. You can go. And I can think of very few students that I could say, hey, just take these 150 kids and go and not worry about a phone call from the police department later. So she does a phenomenal job. She's serving as our band board president this year, which is a peer elected position as well. And it was interesting hearing her parents talk. Her dad said, you remember how awkward you were as a freshman? And he looked at us and said, you remember how awkward she was as a freshman? We said, well, every freshman is awkward. That's okay. But I think he hit the nail on the head. You've really turned into a fabulous young woman and flautist and leader for us. And it's really a privilege for you to be in our department. And we are grateful for your assistance every day. Thank you very much. Sure, Helby, you come up for the picture. I see how it is.
Just kidding. Just making sure you're ready. Oh, on. So that was perfect timing. Okay, here we go. Let's just practice. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Well, Ainsley, I really appreciate the fact that you're preventing any of the police phone calls, so that is a good thing. And also, we took our big 100 anniversary photo today out in the field, and the band helped us all get into formation, so thank you, band department, for that. We are now going to bring up Will with Miss Rendy from the math department.
All right. I am not as funny as Mr. Gore, so sorry, just telling you. I also, in the past, have tried to just wing it. Winging it's not my thing. So I'm going to read what I wrote, but starting off here in the beginning, I feel like, it's really early in the year, and trying to pick a student that you want to nominate can sometimes be hard, but I thought that starting off here, I nominated Will for Student of the Month to recognize him for starting off his senior year and every morning in my class on the right foot. So I have him first period, and from the first day that he walked in, despite having a very busy schedule and other responsibilities that, I saw that he had outside of school, he would walk in every morning with a smile on his face, cheerful, friendly, and just, ready to start the day with whatever I had planned for him. And in class, when he was always going to do what was asked of him. He would complete whatever activity I had, even if it was early and he didn't really feel like getting up and roaming around, but, do it anyway. He was always willing to speak up and answer questions, and he was always taking responsibility for his own learning and making sure that his assignments were done and doing whatever he needed to do to be successful. Overall, I feel like he has a wonderful attitude, and he had a great start to the senior year, and I look forward to working with him for the rest of the year. So congratulations.
Well, it sounds like you're sort of like the rock of that classroom, because when teachers are thinking about their certain classes, sometimes as a teacher you're like, oh man, I don't know how I'm going to survive this next group here. But if it's just one student like you in the class that like at least one person's going to help make this thing run smooth. So thank you for doing that. All right, our next student is Tess, and Mr. Busing is going to come up from our science department.
Okay. So in a terrific school like this, I teach AP Physics. I get some of the best students, and among those students, Tess is one of the best. I mean, she's fabulously talented in math and science. If you're into stats, she scores a full 2 standard deviations above the mean on tests. It's that kind of caliber student, but besides that, that's really not why she's nominated for Student of the Month. It's because of the way she learns and helps other people around her become better students. In lab, where she could take over and do all the work and be done, she listens more than she talks. She helps more than she does. And believe me, she does plenty, but it's that confidence in her own abilities that allows her to help others. When you call on her in class, and maybe she doesn't have the right answer, or she's 3 steps ahead, so she has to go back to what I'm asking her about. She'll ask a question to clarify in ways that just set her apart from your typical student. They really have that integrity to want to learn and get to the heart of what you're teaching, not just to get the answer that I'm asking for at that moment. That's neat. And besides that, that's really not why she was nominated either. She is already on her way to becoming an engineer. She has gone to 2 engineering camps, but even more than that, that's still not why she was really nominated. This past summer, she worked at an engineering camp for underprivileged kids, and used her time this summer to help other kids get that chance to experience engineering and succeed. And she told me that the adults volunteers at the camp would sometimes want to do all the work for the kids, and she said, that was wrong. You want them to fail so they can figure out for themselves what they're doing wrong and then reconfigure that situation. And that kind of maturity is just phenomenal. So Tess, if your fabulously successful career in engineering doesn't fulfill you in some way, please become a teacher. Okay? Thank you.
So I learned in physics that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So Tess was 2 standard deviations above the mean, and I was always 2 standard deviations below the mean. So we're a perfect couple there, Tess. Nice. Our next student is the voice of the Libertyville Wildcats. It's Emily, and here to talk about Emily is Mr. Tamayo from Social Studies.
Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit on and off script a little because there's just so much. So I'll start on script, off script. Okay, first off, when thinking about AP Econ students, very bright, good kids, great kids, everyone works really hard. So it's tough to think, who should I nominate? I go to class and I ask for volunteers and I get blank stares, except for Emily. She's looking at me, she's like, me, please. And I'm like, anyone? She's like, okay, Emily, come on up. And then I ask, next day going to class, hey, who wants to play a game? Yes, I want to play a game. Let's do this. I mean, her energy, her excitement, everything about her, when we get to class is just, it's infectious. And she has such a positive attitude. So I want to say thank you for that. And go back on script. It's my honor to nominate Emily Regan for Student of the Month. She is the acting president on student council. She has been on Model UN for how many years? 4 years. She has been student council for 4 years, president this year. She started a Junior State of America chapter here at LHS. She's been the debate team captain for 4 years. She interns at Waukegan City Hall. She works 12 hours a week at a consignment store. She does all this, and yet when she comes to class, she's done her reading. She knows how to answer questions. I mean, she is like on it. So I'm so impressed. Besides being very actively involved in the community, she still comes prepared every single day. She has well thought out responses, and she has an ability to manage a hectic schedule that most people would never even attempt. In my class, I can always count on her to start off a conversation and contribute something of value. And I've witnessed her offering assistance to peers, explaining concepts in ways that they find very helpful. She's a true leader, and I thoroughly enjoy having someone with so much positive energy and attitude in the classroom. She has a can-do attitude, and her drive for success will open many doors for her in the future. Thank you, Emily, for all you do. Thank you for creating a sense of community, not just in my class, but in this school. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. And she is the voice of the Wildcats because every morning she greets us all with announcements and our pledge. And so we all have Emily's voice in our head each day. Our next student is Danielle Navarro, and Mrs. Castro, Senora Castro, is going to speak about her from the World Language Department.
As Tom said, we need to have and work together as a community, as teachers, as staff, as students, as parents, as other community contributors. And I'm just really lucky in my second hour classroom to have one of those people who contributes to the excellent community that Libertyville is, and that's Danielle. Danielle is in my Spanish 4 honors class, and it's a really wonderful class, but she really rises above. We work in groups all the time, and Danielle is quiet, but persistent and positive. And, when we're sharing our ideas and our thoughts, she has some really interesting insights to share in both her written work and when we're just talking in class that have been really nice to see from August now through the end of September. And I really look forward to hearing more of what you have to say. Danielle is also an incredibly talented artist. She has made some beautiful works for our class. Some you know, she just thought it was maybe going to be for my eyes, but I put it up in the class because it was this beautiful piece. We studied identity and stereotypes, and then how to break stereotypes, and she made a really beautiful poster about some high school stereotypes that we confront in our high school lives. And it's just been a great year, and I am just looking forward to the rest of the year with Danielle. Thank you so much for being in my class.
What I love about your story, Danielle, is Ms. Costro said, you know, you're quiet, but you're a leader. And while sometimes we think leaders have to always be talking and leading in their actions, you're demonstrating that a leader can sometimes be quiet and lead through a different way of seeing the world through your artwork. So thank you for all that you do. Our next student is Aden, and Mrs. Oslage is going to come up from Special Services to talk about Aden. All right.
Hello. So I'm here to talk about Aden today, and when it was time for us to, make nominations for seniors for Student of the Month, I knew exactly who I needed to nominate. Attending Libertyville High School, it's a very large high school. There's a lot of academic and social demands, and we have to think about high school as Tom has mentioned, it can look differently for everybody. And I think Aden has, we've challenged Aden this year, and that's part of the reason that I nominated him. We've challenged him academically, we're challenging him socially. One of the things that Aden has done this year, he was recognized for being a mentor for the Bridge Group. And when I think back, when Aden transferred here as a sophomore, it wasn't easy for him to get involved. It took a little bit of encouragement, and Aden continues to grow, literally as well as figuratively, every single year, and just academically, socially, everything. And it's been such a wonderful time getting to know him, to see that growth with him. Think about what lies ahead for Aden after high school. You know, that's one of the things, like I was saying, so with the Bridge Group, he is a mentor this year, and he's made a lot of progress with that, and it was nice to see him being recognized for that achievement in itself. So I'm very glad that Aden has received being a Student of the Month. It's well-deserved, and I'm very proud of you, Aden. Congratulations.
Aden, I like your story because it reminds me of a belief that I have that it's never about where we start, it's about where we finish. And you demonstrate to us all that you can continue to grow and continue to develop new skills, and now you're giving those back to younger students. So thank you for all of that work. All right, our next student is Alexander. And Mr. Schur is going to come up and talk about Alexander from our physical welfare department.
First, congratulations to all the students being honored today. What a special day for you and your parents to be here. Congrats to all of you. I finished up the school year in our department last year, and I said to Kelly, we have 18 staff members in our department, and we kind of rotate, and it's done by month. There's a couple times seniors, sophomores, and I think I did May of last year, end of the school year, and I got the email saying, Mr. Schur, we'd like you to nominate someone. I was like, I thought I just went. And after I thought about it, I'm like, senior, because the classes I teach are mostly junior, senior, but in our weight training class, we have some sophomores in there as well. And when I saw it was seniors, I knew immediately, like so many of you have said, I know who it's going to be. You know, the honor that I have to talk about Alex today is special to me because in our environment, it's a little bit different. Our kids aren't confined by desks and walls and chairs and sit down and be quiet and here's your assignment. It's kind of let's go. And I have Alex in second hour weight training class, and that always isn't the most conducive environment to, I want to get after it. Some kids are still half asleep. Some kids have late start. They walk in, I'm their first class, and I'm saying, let's go, 20 minutes in the zone. We're going to work hard. And Alex really is a leader by example. He's not a boisterous young man. I told Mom sometimes I got to walk over and check for a pulse. And but the configuration of the weight room is set up. We have 2 rows of racks, 7 on each side, and he is smack dab in the middle. Not on my part. We did that early in the semester before I got to know him. And truly the greatest compliment I can give him is that he, like so many of the others, leads by example, and he makes others around him. So kind of the intangibles that he brings are very tangible when all is said and done at the end of the unit. And our units change, and they're not for everyone. Not every kid likes everything, but you'd never know that he's ever not interested. He brings his best effort every day, and like so many others in the room, he makes the others around him better. So I can't say enough about him and how appreciative I am for sometimes difficult situations to teach large groups of kids, and he's a pleasure. So thank you very much.
So Alex, I'm delighted to hear that you're a really good guy and a great person because after taking Mr. Scher's strength training class all year, I don't want to make you angry, so this is good. Our next student is Jenna, and we have 2 teachers, Mr. Schrader and Mr. Rohde, who are going to talk about Jenna from the LST. Mr. Bogomil's coming up instead of Mr. Schrader.
We're a team effort in the
All right.
learning support team. And Mr. Schrader reminded me I had a communications degree, so he said he had to get up here and talk. So. Well, first of all, congratulations to everybody in the room. It's just a great honor, and thanks again for everything you do to make our school a special place. And on behalf of the whole G through PLST, we nominated Jenna Grayson for Student of the Month. We have just been so impressed by her growth over the past few years, especially over the last semester of school. We're so proud of your remarkable getting after it and just doing a lot of great things over the last year especially. Jenna has faced a lot of difficult circumstances but has worked to overcome them. She has not let these challenges stop her from having an active role in our Wildcat community, including a commitment to the Drops of Ink staff, which we all enjoyed the recent publication this week. And not only is Jenna a wonderful example of resiliency, she is a driven and dedicated student working hard to finish out her senior year, and we know she's going to go on to bigger and greater things in the future. Jenna also has a kind demeanor, is always willing to help others. It's always a pleasure for all of us in the LST when you come by and talk to us and help us out. It has been our pleasure to get you to know over the past few years, and I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Parker Rohde right now to finish up.
Just to piggyback on that, I'd say I've worked with Jenna this year and last, and I had her in geometry last year, and she's 2 years ago, yes, 2 years ago, and she's bright, kind, and soft-spoken, but yet she was quick to let me know not a big fan of math. And but despite that, she missed a number of days and had a lot of makeup work to do in math, and she was just so diligent 2 years ago in meeting with me and making not her favorite situation to make up her least favorite class, but to do it in such a patient and a diligent and pleasant manner was really nice to see. So Jenna, congratulations.
Get Mr. Schrader up. I'll slide over.
Yeah. Jenna, your story is similar to many of the ones that we hear tonight, and it's a guarantee. The one promise I can make you as students is that you will leave Libertyville and you will have problems in your life. Like, there will be problems. Life sometimes is a bumpy road, and what we know about the most successful people is they don't have an absence of problems in their life. They're able to work through them, and they're able to overcome them, and many of you are demonstrating that, as you have as well, Jenna, so congratulations. Our next student is Noah, and Mr. Gerlach is going to come up and talk about Noah from the Applied Technology Department.
So I have Noah in my third period graphics class, and I didn't nominate Noah because of his knowledge in graphics, because he really had none, and hopefully now he has some at this point, as we are into almost 8 weeks of school, I think, at this point. So I think hopefully he's gotten a little bit of knowledge from me. But I really nominated Noah because of how he makes me feel every day, quite honestly. He comes to class every single day, and he stands in the same spot, or in the hallway. He stands in the same spot every single day, and he always says hello, and he always asks me how my day is going. And if I'm not there, he looks around the corner and tries to find me and make sure I'm around somewhere. And he just takes a genuine concern for not only me, but all his peers. So he does end up talking to a lot of other students. He is very vocal. The day that he got nominated Student of the Month, I couldn't, he came down the hallway and he had his little piece of paper, and the glow on his face was and he was, of course he was late because he had just met with Mrs. Ulix for Student of the Month, but the excitement that he showed on his face, just those little things make my day, and I knew Noah would be a phenomenal nomination for Student of the Month because he has such a bright sunshine to him every single day. I know we do overcome things. Noah hasn't been able to play football this year because of the fact that he tore his ACL. He had surgery, so we've kind of talked about that. We've been able to relate a little bit. I was injured my senior year, and I didn't miss all of my season, but I did miss the tail end of my season. So we've been able to talk a lot, and he's very vocal about who he is, and he's not afraid to ask questions, and he's just been such a great student to have in my class, and that's why I nominated Noah for Student of the Month.
That's when you were talking about that story, Mr. Gerlach, one of the things they always talk about teenagers is, they're egocentric, and teenagers, we're all the star of our own play. And for you, Noah, to take such genuine interest in other people and kind of to show that, you're not necessarily inward focused, but outward focused, speaks volumes about who you are. So awesome. All right. Our next student is Gina. And Mrs. Tarrant is going to come up and talk about Gina from our Family and Consumer Science Department.
So I have Gina in my first period consumer management class, and that class is all about learning how to be an adult. And at 7:30 in the morning, having a class full of seniors is a little rough. You can imagine how fun it is to hear about taxes and federal agencies. And most of the kids, as I look out, are kind of like, okay, I'm catching this, but not super into it. And then I look in the back and I see Gina's face. And she is nodding, and yes, she's very into it. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. She is beyond helpful with the class. She's always checking in with people, did you get this worksheet? Did you go over here? This is what we're doing right now. And it's such a big help. Her energy is really great in the class. And very similar to what a lot of people have said, she's a quiet leader. She is not somebody who just walks in and is loud, but she is making a good impact on my class, and I really appreciate it. She doesn't hesitate to ask questions, and like some other people have said, she really wants to understand and know the material. It's not just let me fly through this worksheet, and that's refreshing to see sometimes, again, very early in the morning to have somebody that engaged. So those are some of the reasons I've nominated Gina, and I really appreciate having you in class.
I didn't really even know Gina, but she's just one of those positive people. Every time I pass her in the hall, she's always smiling all the time. So it's a great feature. You know, we talk a lot when you come to Libertyville High School, what does it mean to be a Wildcat? And I think sometimes we can get too focused on it's all about straight A's, or we can get too focused on it's all about athletics, or it's all about doing the fine arts. And I think what you hear today is that what it means to be a true Wildcat is to be a person with heart and with character, a person who has grit and is able to kind of fight through and persevere through some tough times. It means that you're a person who's resilient and able to bounce back sometimes when you've had some setbacks. And it means you're a person for others, that you're not necessarily just focused on yourself and what you need, but you're aware that there's other people in this community and you want to take care of them. That, to me, is what this ceremony is about. It's honoring you guys as students who are really true, genuine Wildcats. And I think, you know, if you want to, somebody much, much smarter than me, Maya Angelou wrote, you know, it's not what you say that people remember, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And the students we're honoring today are perfect examples of that. Students that we're never going to forget because of how they make us feel and how they make others feel. So congratulations.